Hello, and welcome to Real Person Reviews. I'm Sam, and I'm a real person, and today I want to talk to you about Doom plus Doom 2. I played it on the Switch, but it's on pretty much every platform. Um, and this pack includes much more than just Doom and Doom 2. It also includes master levels for Doom 2, and it has the extra fourth No Rest for the Living episode of that was later added to Doom 2. And it has the final Doom content of the Plutonia experiment and TNT Evilution, all of which I have already reviewed. So I'll link that in the description below. But there's also some other content that I haven't played before that's on this pack. Specifically, there's Sigil II, which I think were in 2021 and 2023 respectively. I believe those are done by John Romero. Don't quote me on all that, but they're newer. And then of course for this pack itself, they released a new episode, Legacy of Rust. So I'm mostly looking at those, and the extra content that was put in here as well. There's also some extra features and things I'll get into, but that's the main bulk of what I came here to look at, really. And I'm going to do my best to not spoil anything for, too much the new stuff for the new episode, because I don't want you to be, go into this and have something spoiled for you, since it's not that old. It's not like we get brand new, things added into Doom, 20 years later. It's not like something, you'd expect, right? So it's, yeah. I just want to respect some of the excitement, since I was excited too. But with that in mind, we're going to jump in here, and there's also a written review. I'll link that in the description. And you see I have awkwardly just left a weird amount of space next to me, because instead of... I realized I don't really need to stand next to a TV screen if I'm just going to, put the footage up here. So it should start somewhere around here. And I guess we're talking about it. So to start with, I want to start talking with the brand new stuff that was new for this pack, which is Legacy of Rust. Which is, like I said, it's new for Doom plus Doom 2. And this package includes not only just a whole new set of levels across 2 different episodes, it also, and new music and stuff too, it also features new enemies and new weapons. There's only 2 new weapons, but there's a number of new enemies for you to face. Basically, like I said, I can't say a whole lot about the specifics here, other than it is more classic Doom. It still plays like classic Doom. What I will say about that is that I think that it's very good. It is pretty tough. Some of the levels, the levels are very big, and they're a little bit confusing sometimes to navigate, I will admit. I had a bit of a hard time with some of them. I spent a lot of time on most of the levels, so they're not short or necessarily easy, even on the easiest setting. But they do try to keep things a little more fresh here, with not only new ideas of how things can work and new assets and stuff, but yes, I do think the new enemies are really cool. I think they're implemented in ways that are not just interesting to have, they're not just a reskin of something else. They're actually some kind of new ideas here that actually help in terms of changing your priorities and the balance of what you need to focus on. I think they did a good job of that. They don't feel like they're just kind of there to have them there. They do kind of fit in well. Okay, in different situations, I'll need to prioritize different enemies now, and trying to do things with infighting and all that. It does add extra layers to all of that stuff, so I think they're actually a pretty good addition, personally. Which I wasn't necessarily expecting. I was like, well, that'll be cool, but I don't know how much it'll affect things, and it does actually alter stuff decently well in certain scenarios. And then for the new weapons, there's only 2 of those. They actually replace the plasma rifle and the BFG with these 2 new weapons. So they're different than that, and it's not like they're just straight up better than those or something. They're different. They're still balanced, and they're very useful. They're very deadly weapons. They also use their own ammunition type as well, and they don't have as much ammunition as those would have, but they work a bit differently. So you have different results, or they play a bit differently. So they're not just kind of reskin replacements there either. So I also really appreciated that. Also, has a bunch of new music, and it's great. It's in the same sound engine and stuff, and I love that. It's great. Excellent stuff. So I mean, it probably should go without saying, but if you like classic Doom stuff and you want more of it, having another official pack in here is good. That's always nice to just have more, and I do think you want to play it later, because like I say, it is probably harder. You don't want it to be like, you want to play through the other things, probably in order through the set of this stuff here. Because they do kind of progressively get harder as they assume people have played the earlier ones over the years a bunch of times, so there is that. For Sigil and Sigil II, I kind of lump them together because, interestingly, these things are actually, like, they're kind of supposed to be, like, continuations of the first Doom. I think they're supposed to take place kind of between Doom and Doom 2, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's where they were there. I think that's where they're set. And the main mechanic kind of between them is the idea of, like, going around, essentially, like, shooting these eyeball things on the wall to open up new areas. So you're kind of like scanning levels for like these different like secret like eyeball things in the wall to open up the next part of the level. That's kind of the thing to keep you going. And I will say that Sigil 2 is definitely a bit meaner than the first Sigil, because I guess, you know, it was meant to kind of build on top of that as well, even though it came out later. I think these you had to download yourself before this, and were just like officially released with anything as well. Again, I think the music is also really good. I really like the new music in here. In both cases, while I don't think they're necessarily like all that music is necessarily super like Doom sounding, I like the instruments, and like the synthetic instruments they pick for these are still like, they feel very appropriate for Doom anyways, and what you'd expect for the way stuff looks and everything. So they still kind of stick within that kind of like style very well. Really like that stuff. So it's always nice to have more awesome tracks to listen to. And yeah, so there's just a lot of really cool like levels that are also done pretty well. Especially like first Sigil, I feel like was also kind of cool. Like, I think they did a good job with some of the stuff where kind of like there's parts where they're kind of bringing you back to space in some areas, and they're kind of like between all three of these episodes, or these three things, Sigil, Sigil 2, and Legacy of Rust, they do have parts where you still have like some like space area stuff too, to kind of bring you back to some of that, to remember, oh yeah, it's not all about being in hell the whole time. That's kind of cool. And also, there are some moments where they do, at least like in Sigil, at least, the like beginning is a bit slower and it lets you kind of build up to stuff getting crazy. I do appreciate that as well, so you just don't jump in being like, alright, you're gonna go and it's gonna be really hard, and like, it's not like every level is just gonna start off with enemies seeing you and it's an ambush constantly. So they did a good job of keeping things kind of interesting and fun, and still like progressing and getting harder as you go, rather than just kind of starting hard and having different types of it being hard. I do appreciate that. As for other stuff here, there's also online play, and I only did a little bit of that. Wasn't super interested, but for online play, there's basically the two options are co-op and deathmatch. So co-op, you can have like up to 16 people playing through the campaign levels. I believe they do add more enemies in, and if like you die, you'll respawn. You can kind of keep going. So I think they add in like cyber demons and other stuff like in places, and like they just make it more difficult. I think they add in some more ammo and stuff for you to pick up. So pickups are kind of weird for like how many things you can pick up between everyone versus like solo people picking stuff up, and also like, you could potentially coordinate stuff with, like, you know, okay, if you know exactly where to go and everybody's, like, coordinated, you know, because only one person has to pick up a key, and then everyone in the party has the key. Everyone on the team does. So essentially, you could kind of set it up as, like, okay, well, we all know where to go. So someone goes and gets the one key, the next person can go through the part where you need the key without somebody having to backtrack to do it. You kind of split up, divide, and conquer like that, or you could stick together and take a bunch of enemies down. And I mean, with 16 people, you know, with a ton of people on a map, it does get pretty hectic and chaotic, and, you know, there's times when you're blocking each other from going around paths or making, you know, jumps, the tactical drops, or, like, blocking elevators and stuff. I think that's probably going to be in the footage somewhere here, and I'm doing it, like, if it, depending on how the timing stretches on this, like hit like a thing in the elevator, so like it wouldn't go up because too many people are trying to get into it. There's weird stuff like that, but it does work pretty well. I think it's a neat idea. I don't totally hate that. It's kind of a fun way to kind of run around and mess around. Deathmatch is silly because they do have some deathmatch like specific maps and stuff too. And they just kind of have weapons around. I noticed they like to spawn you next to super shotguns a lot, and it does sort of negate most of the other weapons. Like, if you have a super shotgun, because everyone is so goddamn fast too, it's like, you know, you run around and you just like frag people. You're trying to get the first to like so many kills or whatever. I think it's like 30 or something, and then it just goes to the next match, and it's crazy. It's very fast, and it's just like most of the time you're just gonna run around and shoot somebody one or two times with a super shotgun, and they're dead. So it does kind of feel like the other weapons are kind of useless. If you pick up a chain gun, it's like, oops, I'm going to get screwed by that, you know, or like maybe rockets if you can time them well enough, but it's really hard when everyone's so fast. So lag is also a problem. If you can play this like locally with your friends, I think it'd probably be a lot of fun to just mess around with that. But online is a little bit hectic and a little bit like whatever. It's a neat idea to have there. I like that it's there, but not the greatest thing in the world. It's not going to hold your attention for a long time anyways. Beyond that, there's other like features. Like there's lots of settings you can use here, like to tweak and everything to get it to look and sound and feel to your liking. I didn't care much for the remixed music, but you do have options for like the remixed music, original, you know, like MIDI. You have like a couple of different like synth, like sound profiles you can switch between. Not all of them have remixed music for them. I know Doom and Doom 2 themselves do, but I think like some of the other ones don't. I mostly just stuck to the original selection when I had that and had the fallback be the MIDI, because like I think the fallback is there not when a track doesn't load or something, but I think the fallback is if there's not this version of a song, then it'll fall back to one of these other ones. So that's just kind of the way I played it, and it sounded really good with those. So that's just my preference, though. You can tweak that to your liking. You can change the brightness and stuff. I played with a more reasonable brightness this time. I think I usually have brightness crazy high. But the fact that you can adjust it for different like TVs and stuff, or if you just don't want the levels to be super dark and difficult to see, that's also a good option like to have. Lots of just like accessibility options to help make things easier to play and to see and to do is always good, so more people can enjoy the game and enjoy it the way they want to, even if you don't think it's like the right way or whatever. It's like having those options to make it so more people can play the game is always good, especially when you have games as great as like, you know, the Doom and Doom 2 are excellent. Of course you want to keep playing those, right? So there's a lot of those features, and what am I missing? I have my little notes things. There's like a lot of disjointed pieces. Oh yeah, there's also master levels for Doom 2. I will say this is not a launcher. It just plays as one big episode, so that's also a cool little thing. I like that they did that. Instead, it makes it feel less awkward and cheap. Oh yeah, some of the other things you can do. So they do have level select in the menus. I don't know if all Doom games have had that or not, but I know all these do have like the level select, so you can just play whatever level you want. Maybe that's been in there, but I know that things that are kind of newer ones, like there are mods you can get. I didn't test any of those because you need to sign into like a Bethesda account. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to sign into an account to play Doom. So you can get official mods and feature things and all this stuff, but I didn't because I didn't want to create an account and sign into that to do that. So you don't have to. That's nice to have the option where you don't have to do those things, right? There's also achievements here, and like even Switch has them because they're baked into like the game itself, so you get achievements in the game. I didn't care about those either, but they're there if you like them. So that's also, again, it's nice to have, even if you're on this version of it. What else? Oh yeah, for the online, I should mention too. They do have not only online, but for your multiplayer, you can do online, local, or because it's just a multiplayer tab. So there's online, local, or you can actually do like a LAN party with it as well. That's kind of nuts. I don't know how many people will do that. And the only other thing I have on my notes here, I think... Oh, there's also cheats. You do have to enter in what the cheat is, so you could look those up and then start doing those, I guess, and have the cheat menu if you want. I like the option. I didn't use any. Actually, the first time I did not have to use a cheat to beat one of the levels in one of these packs here. But, yeah, you can do that, so it's nice to have the menu there, I suppose. The only other thing I wanted to mention quick is the id Vault, which is kind of like essentially early sprites and photographs and artwork stuff. Mostly it's just little collections of those, and that's where I found out some interesting things, like particularly they actually like for some of those new enemies in Legacy of Rust, they have like they basically just use these old unused sprites for enemy ideas and turn them into these things. Actually, the enemies you'll probably see in the footage that I already played, probably played by now. I don't know where we are. I can't see the footage you're seeing next to me, even though it's right there. I can't see it. It's crazy, right? It's like you're hallucinating this thing next to me. But like the the ghouls, the skeleton head things, those are were the original Lost Souls, actually, and they worked a bit differently before. Apparently they were in the like beta releases and stuff, like the press release things, so people have seen them before, but they got replaced with the Lost Soul we saw in the final thing. So they brought that design back. A lot of these are designs that they kind of brought back for some of those enemies, which is pretty cool. It actually is a very interesting tidbit to hear about. I feel like they could have had more interesting details of things here to put in here rather than just like, here's a bunch of sprites and stuff. I guess I didn't know they used toys or like figures or whatever and like could pose them and stuff for like reference photography for the different frames and angles of things either. That was kind of neat. I also found out that apparently, at least in the Switch version, this is if you're looking at some of these sections or whatever and you go back to look at a different like category of things for pictures to look at, sometimes it just crashes. It happened to me like 3 times when I was doing that. So not the most stable thing for that. Weird place for it, but I guess I'd rather it crash there than in the actual games. I guess I'm fine with that. If that's where it has to happen, that's okay. Really, the only thing this pack is lacking, I think, to me, is like a music player would be awesome if they could just add that in, because there's lots of really cool music here, especially with all the different versions of the different tracks and things. I think that would have been an awesome addition to have, and they could still patch it in if they need to, but. Like, I think that would be, like, a really nice extra to add on to there. Just the sound test thing, you know, just basically a music player, at least. I think that's all there is to really say about the games. So I don't know if the thing is, if I'm going to let the video play out, or if it's done, if it finished at some point. I have no idea. But, for the gameplay footage. But basically, what it kind of boils down to is that this package of Doom plus Doom 2 is incredible. It's great. It's one of those where it's very easy to recommend to basically everyone. If you haven't played Doom before, it's a great place to start with the early Doom games to get tons of classic Doom content. Like, the only classic Doom stuff you're missing out on is, like, Doom 64, which is, like, a bit different because they changed the engine and stuff. But other than that, like, pretty much all this is very classic style Doom stuff, and like all the stuff that you would want, and more. It's awesome, especially having it all in one place and having it so easy to change stuff like the visuals, like text and the flashing and this other stuff, and tweaking everything to your liking to play it the way you want to play it is awesome. And all for like $10. If it's not on sale, it's $10, which is a crazy value, and it makes sense because people have had these games forever. It's come out so many times, and the extra cool thing about this they've also done is that if you own Doom and Doom 2, the newer classic whatever versions, if you have like Doom and Doom 2 on most major platforms, you can just download this pack for free, which makes it absolutely recommended. If you have the ability to do that, just go in and check and see if you can get it on your platform of choice. If you have both those classic games, you can just download it and start playing it, and that's fantastic. Cannot recommend it enough. Doom is just awesome. I also will say, as a little extra thing at the end here, that I did stream myself playing Sigil II, and Legacy of Rust. And I will be putting out highlights of that. The streams are going to be up pretty much until those highlights come out, and then I'm going to kind of, side note, I'm not streaming anymore. I'm getting rid of the streams and the archives of those. I am keeping the highlights, so that is like the last game I'm ever going to stream, so that'll be the last stream highlights thing. So if you were curious about that, you can check those out while you can. Whenever those come out, I guess they're probably not going to be out when I get this review out. It'll probably be a bit later because it takes a while to edit those. But, yeah, so fun fact there as well. Doom plus Doom 2 killed my streaming career. What do you guys think? If you guys have played this, what do you think of it? I would love to hear any other extra thoughts and things in the comments about it. And the different modes and all this stuff, and if there's any other classic Doom stuff I don't know about and would actually have access to without, like, like officially, and not like going into like get like different like mods and whatever shit like that, it's something I can actually go to just like the storefronts and like buy and get and play. Let me know about that. I'd be curious to know about more classic Doom stuff. And it seems like at this point this was kind of my last, as far as I can tell, unless I hear stuff from everybody else, like, oh yeah, check out this, and this. This is probably my last Doom thing that I can really justify doing before finally playing Doom 2016, because I've been kind of putting it off to play all this other stuff that's before it, and now I think I've hit pretty much all the official releases for new content to play. So I think that that'll probably be the next Doom-related review. Will probably be um, Doom 2016 finally, and it'll accidentally probably end up being a hey, here's Doom 2016 10 years later for the first time. I'm very timely on all of these things, so much so. So, anyways, yeah, whatever comments, other stuff, go ahead and leave it there. I don't know if my red light really came out well in the shot. I don't know if it's great, but you know what? I did it. It's done. And it's Doom.